It's so interesting to see how people perceive you versus how you perceive yourself.
Oh, I'm
Because
obsessed with that idea.
I love hearing how people see
I know
me.
it's unhealthy though.
No, and I... Hey, I'm your host Alexis.
And I'm your co-host Drew.
Sit back and relax because you're
in good company.
Okay, guys, this episode is one that I'm really excited to film. I think I say that about like every episode we do.
Yeah, but like, hey, these topics are near and dear to our heart.
I know. And lately, I think I've been feeling bits of imposter syndrome, and that's what kind of made me think, I want to talk about this. I want to see what other people think about it. And I just want to really like dive into what it means for like people our age, because I think that's really who we're kind of speaking to, though. I do feel that imposter syndrome affects people of all ages.
All ages, yep.
Okay, so let's get into the definition of imposter syndrome. So when I Googled it, it said the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's efforts or abilities. And I think that sums it up really well. I know my personal definition of imposter syndrome was definitely just feeling as if I'm not talented or good enough when I'm unable to achieve something that I've worked hard at and desperately wanted. So like when I felt, it confirms my worst fears in the way deep down I view myself when, you know, it sucks. But yeah, that's my take on it. True. What does it mean to you?
So for me personally, imposter syndrome is definitely more of a social aspect. I feel like when I present out my talents and skill and I, you know, complete a final product, I feel like a fraud and that people don't believe me when I say I have a certain skill.
Really?
I definitely project a lot of my insecurities out, and I am always like, yeah, like I do this, but I don't think I'm good enough to deserve a specific role or deserve compensation for it. So yeah, I think I definitely project it out socially, and I think people don't think that I'm good enough. So yeah, that's where my like imposter syndrome kind of stems from. But I know where it's rooted. Yeah. So we can delve into that, but that might be a little bit too much.
I know. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Funny enough, I said I'm starting to figure out how imposter syndrome and like people's core beliefs overlap.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Anyway, we're not going to get too much into that right now.
Like maybe that's a little bit too deep for the beginning.
Right. Though we actually asked you guys, our followers, thank you so much for participating.
Yes, thank you.
Like I got so many good answers. It was really exciting to see people's perspectives and takes on this. So, True, do you want to share like the polls that we got?
Oh my gosh. All right. So just to start off with just statistics at the beginning, our first question is, has imposter syndrome affected your life? And 88% responded yes, 12% responded no, which is crazy. Interested to see what anybody says about the 12%. But yeah, let's see, any other statistics? The rest were polls. So that's the only one we got like numbers for.
Is that the only one we got numbers for?
Everything else was just like yes or no.
Oh, okay. LOL, I forgot the questions I put. Okay, so some people, I did give people the option to dive deeper, and I got two like really like good responses that I wanted to share. So, okay, so this was the question I just asked people. Societal pressure, like, does that have an effect on feeling imposter syndrome? And this is what one of our viewers said. They said, yes, it most definitely does. There's a drive to be at the top because of capitalism and wanting to be different and defined so that you win and survive. I feel like imposter syndrome is, you know, the product of all that. You think you're not good enough even after all you've done, so it drives you to do nothing anymore, because even after all your achievements, it feels like you do nothing, which I think contributed to a lot of other issues, like how people don't try anymore because what's the use? And then she was like, I don't know if that's related or not, which I think it definitely is related. Just quickly diving into that point given, I was thinking about how like capitalism kind of loves imposter syndrome, right?
Oh yeah,
because
they thrive off of people not thinking. Capitalism requires people to think that they don't deserve enough so that they could get more out of them while paying them less.
I hope that what we're saying makes sense.
It's
I think
that weird cycle.
My take on it is True basically explained it, but the whole thing with the whole thing with capitalism is that, you know, it wants people, if we're continuing to work, we're doing the labor, then, you know, the system is able to work. So with people feeling imposter syndrome, they feel like nothing they do is good enough, and they're maybe even a fraud at times. They're constantly overworking themselves to prove that to themselves, and like the little voice that's telling me, you're not doing enough, you're not enough, whatever it is, that they are. So it's like this really vicious cycle that I would argue, I know for a fact we've both been caught up in, because we talked about this episodes
just
ago.
very briefly.
How I think it was probably one of our adulting episodes, how we felt like once we hit 18, we were already like wasting our time, which is strange. And I feel like that kind of must have stems from feeling like imposter syndrome. I know comparing my life to other people's lives, who I feel like are in a better place, kind of makes me feel like an imposter. Like I'm like, I'm not doing enough. Okay. We have another person who gave us a really great answer. That's what he said. Okay, he's like, I don't know if this is actually imposter syndrome or just me, but being a fraud. My feelings with imposter syndrome is kind of weird because I feel like my colleagues and peers always see me, you know, highly. And all the things I do, such as like, you know, paperwork, school, whatever it is. I mean, yes, I do excel at schoolwork, and sometimes I hate it. And I'm in a high position on campus, but I feel like a fraud. Wait, we got some more.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, this is way above me. I can't go back now because I'm afraid that at some point, you know, this is going to bite me in the butt. And when I actually have to do something that I'm unprepared for. So it's really interesting. His whole take was, how I interpreted it at least, was I had this position of power. People admire me. They think I'm good in this position or whatever it is, but I don't feel like I'm deserving of it. I feel like it's something that can be taken away from me. And I feel like, well, he said it. He feels like a fraud in it. And I think I've definitely experienced that. True. Have you experienced something like that before?
100%. I mean, I've shared different stories about like my leadership experience before, and there's always ideas that you have that don't really pan out correctly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just going to have to accept that you performed at like 60% level, even if you wanted 100%. Like life isn't perfect, and you're just going to have to accept it. But I definitely still struggle with accepting it because I want things to look nicely and all of like tie it up in a nice little bow because my name is attached to it. And it's weird because like as my friend said in the response, he has a high position on campus and that has a lot of like weight to it because people are expecting things of you and it's difficult to deliver every single time.
I think the really interesting thing is I've felt this in different ways, I think. And the fact, okay, I'll do a performance, guys. I like to act. I'm an actress. And I will do one and I won't feel necessarily proud of the performance I give. And I always feel like I could have done better, right? I kind of nitpick on things that I've done. And people watch it, my friends, my family, audience members, people I don't even know, come up to me and say, you did a really good job. I enjoyed your performance. And I'm like, whoa, these people see something that I don't even see in myself. Yeah. Which can be really crazy. But I think that's kind of how imposter syndrome works in a sense. You constantly undermining your own achievements. And why? Why do that? I think it's just so cruel to do that to yourself. But I mean, I do it. I know a lot of people do. And it kind of feels like you can't help it at times. But yes, I really enjoyed all the responses, so thank you guys. We're definitely going to do like future polls, so look out for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is this. How has imposter syndrome directly affected your life, Trug?
My life. All right. So I think okay, I have an answer. I thought about it a little bit. A lot of my imposter syndrome stems from me thinking that I'm not good enough for a specific role. I'm not good enough for a specific title.
Wait, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know, True, you told me that you have had a lot of positions of power, like in clubs or different positions in school. Do you think because you got them when you were younger, it led to you feeling imposter syndrome, or that was completely separate?
I think that's completely separate. I defined earlier for me, a lot of my imposter syndrome stems a lot more socially. Or like where I think people don't think that I'm good enough. And I know because of Asian culture too, you're always it's always pushing me to do more than I can.
Oh my goodness. Can I say one quick thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I really do feel that. In the Black community, I feel one thing is that Black women always have to rise above.
Yes, I've seen.
And do the, like, they have to be like, even just Black people in general, if you aren't like a model citizen of a person, they're going to use that as like a way to justify, like, I guess maybe in a sense like racism against the full race, because like, well, that one person, like, look at what they did. And it's like, why am I a monolith for everybody? That is not fair. And I think I've definitely seen in the Asian community there's a lot of pressure put on, especially like when you're young. It's just a lot.
Yeah. No, what Alexis said, she really put it great into words. Put it into words very well. But yeah, I definitely have a fear where people don't think that I'm good enough, and I always try to perform a certain way. How has imposter syndrome affected my life? So I don't believe that I deserve any good position, and I'm kind of just in these roles because I put in the work, and that's what I think it is. Like, I just put in the work. I don't actually think I deserve it, and that definitely held me back.
Can I challenge that?
Yeah.
Do you think because you put in the work you deserve it? Because like other people weren't necessarily putting in the work and the effort to get the position.
I mean, I guess that's a good way to challenge my thinking. Maybe. I always feel like there's someone better, and I could learn instead of being there and failing those from the top. Because there are people who depend on me, and I just feel like I failed a couple of times.
That can be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but how it's affected my life, I did not reach out a lot during the college application process because I don't think I could have made it anywhere.
Wow.
And I never had any like career dream. And I'm just like, I can't see myself at the top of anything, which is why I limit myself to just school positions.
Wow.
Because it's kind of sad, but that's like the only place where I am in my comfort zone and playing field.
Kind of in your element.
Yeah, but I didn't reach out during college application season. I think I wasn't good enough for such and such roles, and I always believed that there was a better person out there, because the whole application process is cruel. But how about you? How has imposter syndrome affected your life?
It's kind of making me thinking about my answer differently. I would say that for me, imposter syndrome makes me limit myself.
Which is a definitely common theme with everybody answering in our
It definitely
polls.
was. Okay, the answer I wrote out is that imposter syndrome just reaffirms, as I said, like my worst thoughts I have about myself. And it kind of creeps up on me because I don't feel it constantly. There's some, positions in my life I feel confident in, and I feel like I have the skills to like go about it. But there's other times, and I guess I would argue when it maybe comes to certain tasks that I have to work harder at and are kind of, more of a struggle for me to achieve and like do well in. So when I don't do well in them, I'm like, well, of course you didn't. Like, why did you think this time would be any differently? It can be so frustrating. I know like certain subjects in high school, I'd put so much effort into trying to do better or trying to like get my grades up. I know chemistry kicked my butt. Like, that was really difficult, and I would be studying all the time. And I felt like my efforts were never shown in like the final product. And I think imposter syndrome for me just really just reconfirms whatever I think. Like, that's just what it is, like, at the end of the day. So as I said, it doesn't affect every aspect of my life, but it affects enough that I feel like it's not great.
Were you a part of the tagged program when you were growing up? Or any sort of honor program?
No, and I think that's why I have the view I do about myself.
Really? I was going to say the opposite. If you were in it, you would have imposter syndrome.
No, I think I always wanted to be deemed as special, right? To have others look at me and be like, oh my goodness, like...
Wow.
I never...
Wait, I'm surprised that you weren't in it. You were very good. Alexa's a great student.
In high school, I never got any academic awards. Ever. I would be like I always felt like I was being left out. Like, academic achievements, I didn't get a thing. I mean, I would make like honor roll, but that wasn't like anything really special. So I think because I never got praised by people the way I wanted to, it led to me continuing my thoughts. It's really interesting. Like, I never was in a single honors class in high school, not a single AP class. I never, at a certain point, I stopped pushing myself to want it because I thought I would fail if I reached it. I was in, like, all my friends were in, like, honors APs, and I never was. And they'd be like, Alexis, you're really good at this class or this class. Like, why don't you do it? And I literally stopped making the effort because I tried so hard. And I would, like, yeah.
I'm so surprised. You're, like, from my perspective, you are a great student who keeps up with her studies. And you put a lot of effort in your schooling.
I know. I would feel like I was putting in more effort than other students. Yes. I felt like I was putting in more effort than other students, but I was never reaping the rewards. So it wasn't that I stopped trying in school. I was always trying in school, but I stopped trying to go above and beyond when it came to giving achievements. I was like, if you're not in the honors class by now, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. That really did mess up my way of thinking.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because I got to college and I've had a 4.0 since I've been in college. But despite that, it's not like I'm going out of my way to find scholarships because I'm like, what's the point? Like, it's a limited.
Wow.
Yeah. It keeps me like in a bubble that it feels like it's hard to break out of because I'm so used to being, not even being told.
We got different flavors of imposter syndrome.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think if I had been in, like, you know, the special gifted program that kids were in, I would be like, I am special. Which is, that program in itself is such,
that program is whack. I hate it.
Yeah.
I was a part of it and they made us work. That fucked with my
perspective or like
work
mindset?
Habits.
I can see
the
that,
way I am now.
Because I would like overwork myself.
I'm burnt out.
I would overwork myself and
to get
like
in it, right?
Like I would go right to the library after school and just study and work for hours. And my friends loved them, but they would like, you know, play games or watch Netflix, and they were in the AP classes and they were in the honor classes and I was in the regular classes. And I was like, why am I doing all this? Because they're not working themselves nearly as hard, but they're in the classes that I feel like at one point I desired to be in. That definitely
messes with your brain.
Oh yeah, it messed me up real bad. I think getting to college and like doing well in classes it kind of like reaffirmed, no, you're fine, you're good. But also it's not like I'm being forced.
You built good habits.
I definitely, I do agree with that.
Like,
I think
props to you.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. But yeah, like people are surprised. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
I'm surprised, and I've known you for like 10 months now.
No. Okay. Go into the next question, guys. Because I feel like we answered that one really well.
Yeah. I got it. So the next question is, hold on.
I know it's kind of no.
Has imposter syndrome limited how you view yourself / what you believe you're capable of? Which you definitely answered that thoroughly.
And then also, like, how do you live with it? And I think the answer is, I just like, I just do. Like,
you're awake. You kind of just have.
There are definitely ways to combat imposter syndrome. I think I want to say, every time like I prove myself wrong, I'm combating it. But then if I were to...
That depends on external factors.
Right, because if I were to quote-unquote fail again, then it's reaffirmed.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, well, of course, like, you just got lucky. Like, I don't believe that one time I actually got it. It was, like, a confirmed fact that I could consistently, like, maintain whatever I was achieving. So, I don't know. I feel like I should learn how to...
I don't know. Sometimes I get a really inflated ego. So I bounce between a really inflated ego and a really tiny ego. And
I think I do too.
Really?
Depending on what I am, I guess my focus is, and I feel like, I know what I'm doing. I have practice in this. And I'm like, I kind of want to show off, right? But if it's like something else that I'm like, I'm not sure. Like if you were to hand me like a worksheet of math problems, I would feel like very small and like stressed out because of all my experiences just in math class, not understanding what was going on, feeling like I was the only one not understanding.
I just want to say, just to make you feel better, hopefully, math class has a lot to do with your math teacher. I've had incredible teachers growing up, and that's why I like math now. But like, your teachers failed you and it's not your fault. And I know that you're smart.
Thank you, girl. I definitely feel like I was conditioned to think that when it came to certain subjects, I was just going to be good at, like English. I was like, I've got this in the bag. And then other subjects, I was not destined to fail at, but I knew I was going to work harder at, and that hard work wasn't always going to show. And that's like the really frustrating thing. I feel like you actively try and go against imposter syndrome, and then it gets confirmed to you time and time again in different scenarios, and you're like, bro.
You know what's really sad? When I see my friends who are like amazing people feeling imposter syndrome.
I know.
And that goes with you too.
That goes with you. I'm listening to you. I'm like, what's that? True.
All of my friends. No, you can finish your thing.
No,
Sorry,
I was gonna say not true feeling this way.
Oh.
We gotta fix this stat.
Same goes to you. Oh my gosh, but no, like just speaking just from outside of this podcast too, outside of this room, like all of my friends are so talented, and whenever I just see them like posting themselves crying on their stories, or like, and it's more of their close friends, not their public.
No, because I was going to talk about that.
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about how it's interesting.
Just say I love y'all. And
how
you
some
deserve
people
better.
feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to showcase that online, you know, amongst their friends or whoever it is, and other people, like, their immediate things I have to hide and have to pretend that everything's all right.
I'm the hiding team.
I'm the hiding team. I don't want people to know if I'm actually going through it, because then I feel like I'm more vulnerable. They, you know, it's about not wanting to seem weak, which is like a very toxic mindset within itself. But I kind of commend people who are able to be vulnerable online, because not everyone can do it. Not everyone feels comfortable doing it. But keep going.
No, I just wanted to give support to my friends. Like, even if you were on the hiding team, like Alexis and I are, I still love you. And I think that all of my friends are talented. And there is not a friend who is not talented, because I hang out with cool people.
I was going to say, I only hang out with talented people. That's so messed up to say, though.
Hey.
Do you ever feel like, because I think I do this, to combat imposter syndrome, I like hide behind my skills or talents. Like, I hide behind things that I feel like for a fact nobody can take away from me.
I don't know if I have a skill that I'm like, oh, this is my shit.
Like, this is my thing.
Yeah.
I know I've been playing instruments for so long that I wouldn't lie. I do feel imposter syndrome. I feel like other people are always better at me than the instruments, but I feel like if I'm around a novice, I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
But I feel like that's normal, right?
Yeah.
To want, like, as human, we just want to show off our skills and our ego.
I know when I was like in high school or just younger, I used to be like, I have all these fun talents and nobody cares. They just like me for me. I said, well, that's nice and all, but clap me on the back sometime. No, it's funny. Just different things. But okay. So going into that though, when did you start feeling imposter syndrome? Like, do you recall?
I don't know when it started. I think for me, insecurity and imposter syndrome goes hand in hand.
I agree. And
you just start feeling insecure around middle school time, but I wasn't very talented in middle school.
True.
So I don't know when it started. How about you?
I hate to say, I definitely think the way your peers can treat you can lead to you feeling imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, societal.
Yeah, so I definitely think I was feeling imposter syndrome from like before elementary school. People you're around can affect how you view yourself.
Oh, 100%. I had a really bad habit of sticking to one person after I realized that they've accepted me, because I don't believe anybody else will.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to get out of that, because I recognize that it's very suffocating,
I think,
for the other person.
Okay,
yeah?
I can't speak on all your relationships, but I would argue that within our friend group, at least, you seem to be pretty cool with like
because I've grown.
You have. I will
I've
say,
grown.
like, I don't see that anymore. It's not like, oh,
it was really bad in middle school.
Really?
I suffocated my best friend.
Oh.
Yeah. We always talk about it whenever we meet up every couple of months now. But she and I would be in the car sometimes. It's like, damn, it's been a while. I'm like so glad we both went our separate ways and we can still reconnect. But because back then it was really bad.
So did that continue in high school, or it kind of just?
In high school, I learned my lesson, because the suffocating relationship happened in middle school. And I said, Truk, you deserve better. You need to go meet people and not shell yourself off. So that's when I started learning and picking up socializing skills and all of that stuff.
And now you're good at it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm good, but I can.
I guess my perspective is that you seem pretty good at it. You can just talk to people. I think that's... this is my perspective of Truk, not her perspective of herself.
Oh!
But yeah, like we'll be doing like I remember like semesters ago we would do like interviews, and you just go up to people and be talking.
Because you were there. You were there to support me. I don't think I could do it on my own, bruh.
That's why I was like, I don't want to interview randoms about Truk. So do you feel like imposter syndrome can affect variety? Like I think we were talking about this. Like imposter syndrome definitely, at least for you, And for me, I would say has affected multiple areas of our life, like school, relationships, home. It doesn't really matter. It's something.
Can I add work to that?
Yes, I was gonna. Yes.
Oh, okay,
too,
okay,
of course. Oh my goodness, yes, definitely in work. Yo, guys, okay. I recently worked like my first official 5 days a week job, and I definitely feel like I was feeling imposter syndrome because it was me wanting to do my best at the job and feeling like what I was giving was not enough for the people around me.
It was also your first job.
It was, but also I will say the only unfortunate thing was that some of my coworkers, instead of being like, oh, let's help Alexis out because she's new, they used my inexperience against me as like, oh, she's not great at her job, which was like, I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm really trying my best here. We're gonna do an episode on working at some point for sure, but
hustling culture part 2.
Yeah, I definitely see it in work, and I didn't really experience that until recently. So, Drew, tell me.
So, said earlier, a lot of my imposter syndrome kind of projects out. I don't even know if this is labeled imposter syndrome for me. I never really used that term in my daily life. This is honestly the first time, not first time, but like in a while since I've like had a whole discussion about it. I definitely label it with more insecurity.
I see that, yeah.
But that's just my perspective. But in work, I am the youngest member of my team. I work in an office, and I always feel like I'm not contributing enough to the team and that my lack of experience is holding the team back. Even though I've like talked about this with my mentor and other coworkers, they're like, no girl, like you're doing good for your age and that you really helped boost our morale.
I
still don't believe it because I go home and I'm like, oh freak, I messed up today.
I was gonna argue having somebody as young as you working gives them a new perspective on things, because I would argue aren't clients of like various ages. I
literally just reference TikToks and work all day.
And
I don't do anything serious, right?
Okay, I don't even believe that, because she be posting on her story. She be going to the store. She be buying supplies. She be moving things around.
Girl, I'm like vlogging my day at work. Hi guys, I'm going to Staples today. I bought tape.
I think the only thing that kind of like reaffirmed that whatever I'm doing, it has to be enough, is they haven't fired me. They haven't sat me down and be like, get out. You're frankly not living it up. So. Yeah. That's what I told myself at work. I said I got hired and I'm not fired. So there's that. And then when is the last time you felt imposter syndrome, or as you could say just like insecurity, since that's kind of how you view it more as?
Last time, I'm gonna have to think about it, but I do want to hand this off to you because Alexis had an experience before.
I recently felt imposter syndrome. So, Truk, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about as soon as I say it. So, no surprise there. But I recently, as you guys know, I like to act. I like to do performances. That's my thing, right? And we recently had auditions for our school play. And Truk's in it too, which is really exciting. All my friends and me, we auditioned. We all got parts. But I remember when I saw the cast list, I couldn't help but be bummed out because I was the only one amongst my friends who had a part that I had to share with multiple people, right? So I'm playing like a chorus role. And I remember when I saw that, the first thought was, oh, well, my audition simply wasn't good enough. It wasn't even like, oh, they couldn't find me somewhere else for the role. Like, there's a lot of good people. I said if I had been better, then I would have been cast in that part. And I put the blame on myself. Not that like the blame's on the casting people. It's not that. And then I was later told that it had nothing to do with my performance. It had to do with how young I looked. They did not know where to place me. But my initial thought was, this is a fault of my own. And I remember when I found out, I was really upset. And I think that kind of goes back to different times in life. I've wanted a part so bad and I haven't gotten it. Because when you're acting, you're very vulnerable, right? And you're kind of just putting yourself out there and hoping for the best. So when you try your absolute best and it still doesn't go the way you want, you can't help but feel like, well, that's on me as a performer, because if I just gave them more what they wanted, then I would be in the place that I wanted. So I think people who perform in any type of way are going to understand what I'm talking about. Like, even if it's like an academic thing, if I'd studied more, if I'd prepared more, like, this is all me. It's this act of like constantly blaming myself when I don't achieve what I want, rather than there could be outside circumstances that have nothing to do with me affecting why things happen the way they did. So that was my recent experience. I'm moving past it, but it's also just like a bittersweet thing, And I think that's my most recent imposter syndrome moment. Sure, did you think of yours?
Yes, I did think a little bit. So I feel like in this current moment in my life, I'm quite exhausted. So I don't have time to think about my insecurities at the moment. I just want to go lay in bed and rot.
I feel that.
But I recently had to turn in like a film project, and it's for my economics class. I put it on myself to make it a video instead of a paper because I'm not a big fan of writing. So Alexis is the English girl and I'm the math girl because
100%.
I'm not gonna write a paper.
Because I would have wrote that paper up. Let me not.
Yeah,
okay.
No, because the option was you want to write a paper or you want to do your own project. I said I'm gonna do my own project, but I didn't delegate my time correctly. I didn't prioritize my time, and I ended up really with a really like crappy project that I turned in, and I'm really insecure to like give it to my professor because I was like, yeah, I've been doing like video making for like 2015, so like how many years is that? 8 years?
Dang, it's
7
2023 years? That's crazy.
Yeah, anyways, 2025 minus 2, that's 8 years. I've been doing this for 8 years, and I was just embarrassed that the video I turned in was really ugly.
Oh wait, can I expand on that just a little bit?
Yeah,
I will say I haven't felt that exactly in that situation, but definitely when it comes to playing the piano or the guitar, I always feel like I've been doing this for so long, I should be better. It's always this feeling of, I hate telling people how long I've been doing a certain skill because they automatically assume I'm at a certain level.
Right.
I hate it so much. I'm like, I'd rather tell people I've never touched done this in my life. I've never touched an instrument in my life. I've only been playing for 6 months, because then your perception is whatever I do is pretty good. But if I tell you, oh, I've been playing for a decade, oh, dang, you're good. But I don't know if I'm good to you.
Yeah. And like a lot of like earlier you talked about comparison and comparing yourself to people online. I definitely compare myself in terms of video making because this skill is an on and off thing. I don't prioritize it. I don't prioritize myself, which is what I've learned in life, and it's an on and off skill that I do whenever there's an opportunity. I try to jump on it, but because I'm so inconsistent with it, my skill level isn't where I want it to be. And I'm always like, bro, you can't claim this. Like, you're not allowed to claim this because
that's another
you're
thing.
Not good enough.
That's another thing. There's certain things that for a long time I used to knit, and then I stopped, and then I'm like, I can't tell people I do this because I'm not at the level I think I should be, or I don't do it often enough, right? I used to obsessively be knitting around this time last year and before it, but then school, and I just got really busy,
life got busy.
And it's not that, so that's one of the people, first thing to be like, oh yeah, I knit this, I did that. I haven't done it in a minute. I'm like, it's not that I don't feel like I can claim it, but there feels like there's a weird insecurity about it.
Me too.
About something, you're not, I don't know. It is weird, but you're making me think.
Right?
You're making me think. I've definitely experienced that. Oh my goodness.
Like, I limit myself, and I'm like, no, you can't apply for that certain thing. You don't have the skills for it. Like, you can't be claiming that when you haven't touched a camera or you haven't touched an editing software in like 5 months.
I feel like I have to be a certain level of it, like a certain level of something I consider semi-good at before I can tell people I actually do it. Because then they're going to, let me see. And I'm like, I'm embarrassed.
No, don't see it.
You just send them to In Good Company's video.
Bro, I'm not going to lie. I still haven't shared my podcast with any meaningful adults in my life.
Really?
My parents don't know, my coworkers don't know, my mentor doesn't know.
That's really interesting because
they know I do it.
I mean, you already know.
Alexis has a very good adult support system.
To an extent.
To an extent. Well, better than me. Well, no. I don't want to like bash on my adult support system. I love them. I'm just embarrassed of my skill level and I don't want to share it to them.
That's fair. I think I get that. I will say I was surprised by the support, and you might be surprised if you were to share it by the people who are like, oh, this is dope, Truk, because I know I
share with my friends though.
Yes, I know. It was really funny. I went to it was almost like a family reunion, but it was a birthday party for someone. Oh yeah,
when Alexis shared me this story, I was like, oh yeah,
this was so funny. And it was my cousin who's older. She's like in her 60s, and I got to her birthday party. Mind you, we live in different states, so I don't see them often, and everybody at this party was like, oh, Alexis, I saw your podcast. I'm like, who are these people? It was so much fun. I said, I'm like a star. But no, that was so unexpected. So I think it's also really nice when you put yourself out there and the people you really care about support you full-heartedly. To have that, something definitely I don't take for granted. So I hope that once you do share it, you're proud of it and you're like, this is mine. Yeah. This is my baby.
In the future for sure.
Right.
But I really appreciate all of my friends who are currently supporting me.
That feels great.
During
Thank
my
you guys.
ugly era. Like
ugly era is crazy.
Yeah. Is the imposter syndrome speaking?
No, literally. Okay, I will say, it's so interesting to see how people perceive you versus how you perceive yourself.
Oh, I'm obsessed with that idea.
I love hearing how people see me.
I know it's unhealthy, though.
No, and I will say the more people know about me, it changes on how they perceive me. Like, Truk learned something today that I'm sure has flipped the way she now perceives me. Just slightly, not a bad way or a good way. And I just think that's really interesting. Like, to me, the more I learn about you through this podcast in particular,
this is our bonding time.
Literally, the more layers. It's like you're an onion and I'm peeling back all the layers. And I'm like, my initial perception of Truk is different than how she is. It's not bad or good. It's just different. And I'm like, this is very interesting.
Ooh, wait. Okay, finish your thing.
No, I'm done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was with Mattia the other day. Mattia's going to be on the podcast
Shout out Mattia,
soon.
yes.
Mattia. We were playing this card game where it's to deepen your relationship and friendships with one another.
Ooh, fun.
And it was so interesting to see how Zay and Mattia were there. It was at a little small dinner get-together.
I'm so upset I wasn't there. Keep going.
You gotta come on Mondays and Wednesdays, all days of the week.
Oh my goodness, literally just pull up to my house and I will be ready. Like, I will jump in the back of the car. Keep going.
Like, we were out for dinner and we played a game, and one of the questions were like, what were your first impressions when you met each other?
Ooh.
And what were the traits that you're really like happy that the friend has?
What they say.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just talk about myself, I guess. But it was really interesting to see that they view me as a very bubbly person, and which is so funny because I get really irritated when people call me cute and like small and bubbly. Yeah, because it kind of fits this archetype.
Yeah,
but they're different because they're my friends. But
I get it.
They're like, I'm a very capable person and I followed through. And it's just crazy because I feel like I'm a big flaker.
That is really interesting. And then also, like, do people's perceptions of you because according to the time they meet you in your life, change, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're kind of a different person. You're growing and,
If Alexis met me in, like, middle school or high school, I don't think we would be friends.
I agree. I think that if I had met you at any point before the time we did, we could be cool, but we could
be acquaintances.
We wouldn't be as close.
Like,
That's really sad to think about. I think you really have to meet certain people at certain times in your life. Man, that's kind of a bummer. I think about that, but we didn't meet each other at different times, so it's fine.
It's good now.
I will say, I kind of want to do something real fun real quick. Do you want to do our first impressions of each other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I'll go first. So you can think. My first impression, I will set the scene. I met Truk the very first day of spring semester.
January.
Yes, it was January. I walked in the newspaper room. She was there. And I was like, okay, initially, no, it's nothing bad. I was like, okay, I had a goal that day. I said, I want to make one new friend. And I did. But I thought you seemed nice. I thought your style was cute. I really liked your style.
Thank you.
That's one thing I really liked. You were really pretty. I was like, she's really pretty. What the heck? And then when I saw your Instagram, I said, yeah, she's really pretty. Like, Truk's constantly, one thing about Truk, she's very photogenic. She knows her angles. And I know that took work.
It took the pandemic.
That took work. No, same. That's when I elevated myself. But, okay. And it's funny because they were like, oh, you seem bubbly, nice. I think you definitely do seem really, I don't know, approachable in a sense. Okay. I feel like when I wasn't like,
I don't think I'm threatening.
No,
not at all.
No, and you dedefinitely have like a very nice energy to you. You're welcoming. I think you're a welcoming person, and I also say you were initially, the way you texted me and Mattia. you texted it as we had already been friends, but made it easier to like.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to say let my guard down, but it wasn't like any of the like, you know, you're just meeting someone and you're kind of like not cold, but it's like acquaintance like. The way you text and the way you're like, you love to use emojis and like your personality shows through your messages. So it was really easy to feel comfortable around you because you already seem like, like we're gonna be friends. Like I like your energy.
Yay!
And Troop was like the only person who noticed I had knit my top and my sweater, and I was really proud of that.
I really love looking at people's outfits.
Yeah, so she noticed that and I was really excited. But yeah, I had nothing but like good vibes of Troop, and the more I got to know her, the more I liked her, but also the more I learned about her, and I realized you were more than just like a bubbly fun person. Like you had like insecurities, you had things you didn't like about yourself. And yeah, so I definitely hope, I don't ever want to speak it out, but I definitely hope me and Troop remain friends. But yeah, yes. I said that though, I said that about some people in high school and then we fell off, and I said, let me not curse myself. But most of the people, we say friends, so woo! But yes, okay, Troop, your turn.
Oh my gosh, wait, thank you so much for the first impression.
You're welcome.
I'm so bamboozled. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about your first impression.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited to hear it.
So it was, you know, very early on in spring semester, and I was very nervous because I had a really bad fall semester and I wanted to make friends. I was like, my goal this year is to make friends, and I'm gonna do this through the OWL newspaper. And you and Mattia walk in, and I was like, oh my gosh, who are these girls? Like, I'm so excited to see girls in the office for once. And I peeped your knit sweater, and I was like, oh, she's an artsy girl.
Yes.
So first thing I noticed, she's artsy and she's cute. And you guys just came back from a little painting thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, these people like to go out and do things. So I was like, okay, let me try to befriend them. And you were really inviting because you immediately gave me your number. You were like, oh, let's do this together. And I was so surprised that you were going to invite me out to things, because I was like, oh, like you wanna go to improv together? Like,
oh well, we did talk about that.
You got my number and sent me the poster. Like, Alexis was getting things done. And
I was
okay.
like, she's gonna be my friend.
Alexis was getting things done, and I was so surprised, and I was so happy to be accepted by such like a pretty girl.
Stop. Okay, listen. One thing I will say: when a pretty girl is it just feels like, yeah, I'm a pretty girl.
You're a pretty girl.
Yes.
And,
okay.
like, we added each other on Instagram. And like, you were very consistent with your communication. I never felt like you were trying to like avoid me in any way. And when we made plans to meet each other in the CPA and we kind of just ran into each other, I was like, oh my gosh, like, she wants to be friends. She's so put together. Her fits are always great. I just want to say that Alexis's backpack is such a conversation starter.
Thank you.
It's so cute. And this woman, anyways, you're very aesthetic. That was my first impression.
Thank you. You too, though. I thought the same thing.
Thank you.
I will say, it was really frustrating. I know before I came here, I was at a school where I felt like a lot of people didn't dress in a way I liked, which is awful to say, but it's just my opinion. Like, I just felt like our styles were so different. I feel like the way someone dressed can kind of give you kind of a sense of who they are as a person. And I feel like, oh, we're so vastly different. And I remember when I saw you, I said, nah, she knows how to style herself. And it was really exciting for me. Like, I always enjoyed to see what you would wear. And guys, we would literally...
Same goes to you, Alexis.
Thank you. Our outfits be in sync. It was freaky.
Bro, spring semester was something else.
And we didn't document it all, but we would, honest to God, like, our outfits would match vibes, colors, aesthetics, like our own aesthetics, but also similar. It was
wild. We somehow coordinated without actively coordinating,
like, we were just
with each other
in sync.
But yeah, you were incredibly welcoming, and I always thought you were like some sort of glue because you brought in Denaya and Anthony. You were a friend of Mattia, and like, we all, like, you were a really good foundation.
That's a really interesting way to look at it, and thank you, because it's funny enough, now I feel like Mattia's kind of the glue.
Mattia is the glue now.
She holds us together now, but I initially was the one.
Yes. In my head, when I first met you, I was like, okay, Alexis got this. She's like pulling people in, but Yeah, that was my first impression
Thank
of you.
you.
And
No.
I would say the majority remains true.
Yeah. I think if anything, you are just a more like
you're more fleshed out now.
Yeah, you're a more in-depth person to me because I didn't have a lot of the details, and when I find something new, I'm like, interesting, and I store it and I store it in the back of my head, and I'm like, I know why Truk acts certain ways now. Like, your behavior makes sense to me. But yeah, I think that is basically a wrap. Let us do our little bits at the end.
Yeah.
Truk, do you have anything from TikTok?
What did I learn from TikTok this week? Oh my gosh. All right, let's see. So not anything that I learned from TikTok, just a TikTok thing.
Okay.
I don't, have you been seeing Bluey on your page?
No.
Do you know what Bluey is?
Yes, I know the context of Bluey.
I am recommending this to everybody. I know this is a little bit late because Bluey was a thing like a couple months ago.
Yeah, like Bluey been blew up.
Yeah, Bluey been blew up, but I just really want to emphasize how good Bluey is.
Really?
Yes.
It eats?
Yes, it eats.
Okay, let me check out Bluey.
Yeah, and all of its episodes are on TikTok if you want to watch it.
Can you give us a little, like, what's it about for people who don't know?
Yes. So Bluey is an Australian cartoon with these, I think it's, I forgot, what are the dog breed, what is their dog breed? Like Blue Hound?
No, girl, you know I don't know that.
Greyhound?
I know that's just a dog.
So it's a family of 4, and it's, and the main character is a little girl, and her name is Bluey with her little sister Bingo.
Oh.
The cartoon is a slice of life where we kind of just join in their everyday adventures, and a lot of times they're just playing games with their parents. But you learn a lot of like good life skills, and they teach you morals, but not in a very apparent way. They teach through experiences, and it's a show for the kids and also for the parents because a lot of times they talk about like loss and how to deal with relationships and how to rekindle relationships. It's great. And I just really want to recommend Bluey because one of the episodes made me cry. So,
I love that. Thank you, Truk. Now for me, I was scrolling through my phone because one thing about me, sometimes I have a new artist for y'all, sometimes I have EP, and sometimes I just have an artist that I want to shout out. And today I'm shouting them out. They have plenty of traction. Not me shouting them out, it's not going to make any difference, but New Jeans, because guys, their EP,
New Jeans eat, bro.
I remember my friend was like, I would 100% see them in concert. I said, I don't know. And then I started listening to them. I said, yeah, I see them in concert.
Yeah.
Like, it's just their fun, their vibe. And if you guys have not checked out New Jeans, it's specifically the EP Get Up, check it out. When they're all you
should check out their debut album too, and all of their albums actually.
Yes,
their whole.
Just check them out. Like if you don't know nothing about them,
I'm pretty sure our audience know who New Jeans
I'm
are.
pretty sure everybody knows. But to any older people watching,
yeah,
hey,
check out New Jeans.
Hey.
They're a K-pop group, K-pop girl group.
Yes,
they're great. I love them.
They're really catchy. And that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you to Bobby and the Humanities Department. And we will see you soon. Bye. We're gonna have to edit down this episode, bro.
Yeah.
Our camera stopped a few times, but this was